Chapter 2. Echoes of the First Dawn. Part 1. The Old Road. The ancient gateway hummed with quiet life. Its surface no longer resembled stone. Where empty air had once stretched beneath the towering white arch, there now flowed a river of liquid light. Colors drifted beneath its surface that had no names in any living language. Deep blues that shimmered with gold, silver flames that cast no heat, and stars that seemed to swim through an endless sea. The storyteller stood motionless. His satchel felt heavier than it had only moments before. Inside rested Elias's journal, the map, the last pieces of a forgotten age. Lyra stepped toward the gateway, her silver hair stirring gently, although no wind touched the clearing. The old roads, she said, were never meant to survive this long. The storyteller glanced at the glowing passage. It doesn't look like a road. A faint smile crossed her face. That's because you're seeing what remains. She reached toward the light. Instead of disappearing beneath its surface, her fingers rippled through it like a hand passing through still water. Long ago, every great city was connected by these paths. You could cross kingdoms before breakfast, dine beneath another mountain by noon, and watch the sunset from the edge of a different sea. The old man frowned. If that was true, why did no one rebuild them? Lyra's smile faded. Because the people who knew how. She looked toward the eastern mountains. Never came home. Silence settled over the clearing. Even the bird of living light tucked its wings close, as though remembering something painful. One of the watchers approached from the trees. He was enormous, nearly 7 feet tall, clad in armor of pale steel veined with sapphire crystal. A great shield rested across his back, its surface engraved with an oak tree whose branches reached towards 7 stars. Unlike Lyra, he removed his helmet.
A thick black beard framed a weathered face marked by a scar running from his temple to his jaw. Despite his imposing size, his eyes held remarkable kindness. He inclined his head toward the storyteller. "My name is Kalen." The storyteller returned the gesture awkwardly. "I've never met anyone like, well," he looked around at the gathered watchers. "Any of you?" Kalen chuckled. "Neither have most kingdoms." The old man hesitated. "Are you all immortal?" Several watchers exchanged amused glances. Kalen laughed outright.
No.
"We simply refuse to die easily." Even Lyra smiled. "He's exaggerating." "Only a little," Kalen replied. The shimmering gateway brightened. Runes along the white archway awakened one after another, glowing with soft gold. The bird suddenly took flight. It circled the gateway twice before landing upon Lyra's shoulder. Its tiny beak pointed insistently toward the passage. "It's ready," Lyra whispered. The storyteller swallowed. "What happens if something goes wrong?" Kalen answered honestly. "Then we'll never know." The old man stared at him. Kalen shrugged. "You ask." Far away, upon the highest balcony of Asterion, the keeper stood alone. Morning should have reached the city. Instead, the strange divide in the heavens remained. The shimmering gateway brightened. Runes along the white archway awakened one after another, glowing with soft gold. The bird suddenly took flight. It circled the gateway twice before landing upon Lyra's shoulder. Its tiny beak pointed insistently toward the passage. "It's ready," Lyra whispered. The storyteller swallowed. "What happens if something goes wrong?" Kalen answered honestly. "Then we'll never know." The old man stared at him. Kalen shrugged. "You ask." Far away, upon the highest balcony of Asterion, the keeper stood alone. Morning should have reached the city. Instead, the strange divide in the heavens remained.
Half the world basked beneath brilliant sunlight. The other half lay imprisoned beneath endless night. The lines separating them shimmered like fractured glass, stretching from horizon to horizon. The keeper rested both hands upon the pommel of the ancient sword. Its blade had changed. The dull steel from the night before now shone with veins of living light. More runes had appeared along its length. They were awakening, slowly, patiently, exactly as they had thousands of years ago. Footsteps echoed behind him. He didn't turn. I wondered how long it would take. A familiar voice answered. "You always know it's me." The keeper smiled faintly. "I know everyone's footsteps." Lyra emerged from the stairwell. She stopped beside him. For several moments, neither spoke. They simply watched the divided sky. Finally, she broke the silence. The watchers are assembled. I know. The storyteller is here. I know. She glanced toward him. You remember his name now? The keeper was quiet for a long time. Then he nodded once. Elias. Lyra frowned gently. No, the storyteller. The keeper closed his eyes. Pain flickered across his face. He stopped. His expression darkened. I don't. Lyra looked away. The realization hurt more than either admitted. The last witness could remember the fall of empires, the birth of civilizations, the names of heroes long forgotten. Yet he could no longer remember the name of one ordinary old man he had met only yesterday, not because of indifference, because memory itself had become a battlefield. Back at the old road, the ancient archway released a deep, resonant tone that rolled through the valley like a great bell. The surface of the gateway became perfectly still. Lyra stepped to its edge. She looked back toward the storyteller. Whatever you see inside, keep walking. What if I see someone I know? You probably will. And if they ask me to stop? Lyra's eyes became solemn. Don't. A chill ran through the storyteller. Why? Because the old roads remember everyone who has ever walked them. She extended her hand. It's time. With one last glance at the forest he had called home all his life, the storyteller took a slow breath. Then, clutching Elias's journal to his chest, he stepped into the light. The world disappeared. Chapter 2. Echoes of the First Dawn. Part 2. Between Worlds. The instant his boot crossed the threshold, the ground disappeared. Not beneath him. Around him. The storyteller instinctively reached for something to steady himself. But there was no earth, no stone, no sky. Only an endless expanse of shimmering light stretching in every direction, as though he had stepped inside a river made of stars. He gasped. Where am I? His own voice echoed outward, not through the air, but through memories. Fragments drifted past him like leaves on an unseen current. A child laughing, a blacksmith's hammer ringing, a mother's lullaby, a king's final command. Millions of moments preserved within the old road itself. Lyra's voice reached him, clear despite the impossible silence. Keep walking. He looked around. I can't even see the road. You don't need to. As if answering her words, a narrow path of pale crystal slowly formed beneath his feet, each step appearing only after he committed to taking the next one. There was no turning back. The path behind him dissolved into light. The bird of living light fluttered beside his shoulder. Unlike before, its glow had intensified, casting soft, golden reflections across the endless void. It chirped once, then flew ahead, waiting, always waiting. The storyteller followed. As they walked, shapes emerged within the flowing light. Not ghosts, memories. To his left appeared Ash Hollow exactly as it had been 50 years earlier. He saw himself as a young man repairing a fence alongside his father. His father looked up and smiled. You're getting better with that hammer. The storyteller stopped. His chest tightened. His father had died decades ago. The memory turned toward him again. This time, it wasn't behaving like a memory. It was looking directly at him. So? The old man's eyes filled with tears. Father, the figure extended a hand. Come home. The warmth in the voice was perfect. Every inflection, every kindness, every familiar comfort. For one dangerous heartbeat, he almost reached back. Then Lyra's warning returned. If they ask you to stop, don't. The storyteller closed his eyes. I'm sorry. When he opened them again, the memory was gone. Only drifting light remained. Far ahead, Lyra nodded approvingly. The old roads don't lie. The storyteller frowned. That wasn't a lie. No, it was your own heart speaking. She slowed her pace until they walked side by side. The builders believed that every traveler carried unfinished stories. So the road shows them, it offers them, and if someone accepts... Lyra's expression became solemn. They never leave. The old man glanced into the endless light. How many are still here? Lyra was silent for a long time. Finally she answered. Too many. The crystal path widened. The void around them began changing. The stars overhead arranged themselves into unfamiliar constellations. Mountains appeared in the distance, then vanished. Great oceans rolled silently through the sky. Floating forests drifted past like islands carried by invisible tides. The storyteller could barely comprehend what he was seeing. None of this can be real. Kalen's deep voice came from behind. It's all real. He gestured toward a city suspended upside down above them. That was once the capital of the Western Reach. The storyteller stared. What happened to it? It lost its heartstone. The floating city flickered. Cracks spread through its towers. Within moments, it dissolved into countless particles of light. The storyteller whispered, I don't understand. Kalen looked ahead. You will. That's why the Keeper called you. The mention of the Keeper lingered in the old man's thoughts. Who was he really? Neither watcher answered immediately. Finally, Lyra spoke. When the world was young, there were 7 who swore an oath to protect it. The Keeper was one of them. The others? She lowered her eyes. Gone. All of them. For 10,000 years. We believed so. The storyteller looked at the journal tucked beneath his arm. Then why is he still alive? Lyra smiled faintly. That is the question even we cannot answer. Suddenly, the crystal path shuddered. A low vibration rippled through the old road. The flowing light dimmed. The bird froze in midair. Its feathers stood on end. Kalen's hand moved instantly to the hilt of his sword. Something's wrong. Lyra's expression hardened. The road is being watched. The storyteller felt the temperature drop. A shadow appeared far ahead, not standing on a path, standing beside it, watching. It had no face, no features, only 2 pale silver eyes. The figure did not move. It simply observed. Then, a second appeared, and a third. Dozens of silent silhouettes lined the edges of the crystal road, just beyond the reach of the light. The storyteller whispered, Who are they? Kalen answered without taking his eyes off the figures. No one knows. They've been here since before the First Empire. They never attack. They never speak. They only watch. The bird pressed close against Lyra's shoulder. For the first time since meeting it, it trembled. The nearest shadow slowly raised one hand. Not in greeting, not in warning. It pointed beyond the travelers, toward the end of the old road, toward a brilliant white light growing larger with every step. Then, as silently as they had appeared, the watchers beyond the road faded back into the endless sea of stars. Lyra exhaled slowly. We're almost there. Ahead, the white light blossomed into an immense archway carved into the side of a mountain of gleaming crystal. Beyond it lay green valleys, silver forests, and soaring towers unlike anything the storyteller had imagined. The sanctuary of the Watchers awaited. But as he crossed the final span of crystal, he couldn't shake the feeling that those silent figures had not been watching the Watchers. They had been watching him.